Oh, yeah. Your next comic, his last week was his first time doing comedy, and he fucking murdered.
Yeah. That's good for now.
I like the way he brought it up. Give it up for Shaine, everybody.
Woo. Yeah. Thank you. That's gonna work like that somewhere in there. All right. I didn't practice this at all. So I listen to comedy all the time, right? As we probably all do. And I was listening to this one guy. I have no idea who he was, but he was. I messed up. I'm gonna start over again. All right. He didn't do that, right? All right. Well, one more. All right. So, anyways, I started out. We're gonna start out. I read an article, and the article was talking about that there may be a link between eating pussy and throat cancer. I don't want to alarm anyone. I didn't read the article. I just kind of looked at it. I seen the headline. That's what it said. That there may be a link between eating pussy and throat cancer. And then right after that, I heard this comic saying that he don't fucking fuck with Batman no more. Because at some point, there was something that he was checking out it was Batman somehow was gonna eat pussy, right? But DC stepped in and they stopped it. I don't know what it was, but they said that Batman doesn't do that. Yeah, a fucking superhero that doesn't eat fucking pussy, right? That's what I said, but then I started thinking about it, right? Maybe DC knows something that fucking comic doesn't know, right? And I started thinking about it, and then it hit me. I am Batman. He already has throat cancer. You know what I mean? Like, it really changed the way I thought about the guy. He's just like fucking sad, always single, fucking, that's probably why. He used to eat pussy all the time back in the day. Now he's had so much of it, he's got throat cancer. Anyways, I used to work at a Domino's downstate. I'm not gonna say Domino's. Let's say some generic pizza place downstate. And I had a friend of mine, and actually this friend of mine was someone, I got a job there at the generic pizza place. And it was actually my girlfriend's cousin. And this guy, he was like 21 years old, like 300 pounds. He was still living with his mom and dad. He was a virgin, right? So I took this dude under my wing. He was a real cool dude, right? And I told him, I was like, look, dude, if you want to get the girls, right? First you get the money, right? Then you can afford dinner. And then you can take a girl to dinner, right? So I got him a job at Domino's or a generic pizza place. And we start, hanging out and stuff all the time. And at some point he comes to me at work and he's like, bro, you would never believe what happened to me last night. And I'm like, bro, what happened? He's like, do you know my best friend from high school? The guy that you bought weed from the other day? I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, what happened, He's like, dude, I was hanging out over at their house. We were smoking weed. And at some point, my buddy, he's like, hey, I got to go work my job at the factory at the night shift. And if you want, you can just hang out and chill at the house with my girl and smoke some weed. And I was like, oh, well, what happened? He's like, dude, you would never believe what happened, dude. She left, he left, and we were smoking weed, and at some point she hands me the joint, dude, and she looks at me and she goes, this might sound kind of weird, but I really want to suck your dick. I'm like, whoa, holy shit. What did you do? And he's like, well, I'd let her suck my dick, And I'm like, oh, look, I mean, I get it, right? We all get it. He's a virgin. He's 21 years old. He's never had that kind of power before, right? Have somebody else perform fellatio on you. This whole time he's been doing it to himself. Maybe a banana peel in the bathroom while his parents are cooking dinner, So I tell him, I was like, look, dude, you're stepping into some really bad territory here. You might find yourself in a situation that might not be very easy to get yourself out of. And he's like, well, as long as, I can get this, I'm going to ride this pussy train out as long as I can. And I'm like, okay, all right. So he was doing his thing, getting pussy all the time, fucking hanging out with his best friend from high school until he went to work. And then hanging out with his best friend from high school's girl until his boy was coming home from work. And then at one point he comes into work, dude, and he's like, bro, you would never believe what happened to me last night. I'm like, bro, what happened? And he's like, my best friend from high school, whose girl I've been fucking? I'm like, yeah, what's going on with that? He's like, dude, they got into a fight last night. And she told him everything. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, do you know for sure? Like, how do you know? He's like, dude, he called me. He called me up and he's like, did you fuck my girl? I was like, what did you say? He's like, well, I couldn't say anything. I was like, well, and then he just hung up on me. I was like, damn, dude, that sounds like not a good situation to be in. He's like, yeah, so at this point they're not talking, and a couple of weeks go by, and I wasn't thinking nothing of it, right? Wasn't thinking anything of it, and then he's like, bro, you would never believe what happened to me last night. I'm like, dude, what's going on, man? Get to the bottom of this fucking story. And he's like, dude, last night, my best friend from high school, the dude whose girl I was fucking, he called me up and he's like, bro, tomorrow after you get out of work, you should come hang out and we'll smoke some weed and do some cocaine. Mind you, this is in Detroit, guys. And so I tell him, I was like, dude, I wouldn't fucking do it, dude. Like, honestly, you're gonna get fucking murdered. You were fucking his girl for a pretty decent amount of time, and no consequences thus far, and now you're gonna smoke weed and do cocaine with them. That feels like a trick. And he's like, well, I'm going anyway. And I was like, okay, all right. So then, so he goes, and that whole fucking night, dude, I'm just staying up all night just thinking about it, just being like, God damn, I picture him like strapped to a fucking chair. He's a big guy, big fat dude in a chair, and they're just getting smacked by like a Russian somewhere, well, the missiles, and he's like, I'm fucking not telling. And so the whole night, I just don't sleep, right? And the next day, I go into work, and he comes in, and he's like, dude, you'd have no idea what happened to me last night. I'm like, no, I don't. I've been staying up thinking about it. What fucking happened to you last night? And he's like, dude, I went over there, and dude had cocaine and fucking weed, dude. We were smoking weed and doing cocaine and shit. And then at some point, he's like, hey, bro. He hands me the joint. He's like, I know this sounds kind of weird, but I'd really like it if me and you did the rest of my cocaine off of my girlfriend and fucking Eiffel Tower high five, fucking. I was like, what? No way. First of all, who has a fucking friend from high school that fucking cool? And so anyways, come to find out, he's like, yeah, dude, we did everything. We did all that, and then at some point, he's telling me, he's like, man, long story short, I'll cut it short. I'm getting to the end of it, but next time I'm gonna do 7.5 minutes. But anyways, he goes through and.
All right. Next one will be better.